And we continue with our build-up to the much-awaited summit between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and President Xi Jinping of China. In the last 2 weeks, WION has kept you ahead on all the developments on this front. And soon, we'll be taking you to the historic Chinese city of Wuhan, where this meeting will take place. But before that, let's tell you why this summit is like no other, because it has been planned differently. The format is unlike any traditional bilateral meeting. Sources have told WION that there won't be any fixed agenda. Neither will there be a joint statement. That is usually the way such bilateral discussions conclude, not this one, though. The aim of this meeting is to have broad and overchanging conversations, to understand and process, not so much to conclude and declare. Sources say that the purpose of this meeting is to become attuned to the domestic issues and foreign policy of both sides. This, we are told, will dispel misunderstandings. India and China have decided to put Doklam behind them for the Wuhan dialogue. Sources say that both sides are keen on communication at a political level and follow a top-down approach. This two-day engagement will give Prime Minister Narendra Modi an opportunity to build a personal rapport with President Xi ahead of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization or the SCO summit in June. This is in line with the Prime Minister's style of functioning. Since taking office, Modi has tried to develop a personal relationship with world leaders. China says that at Wuhan, both leaders will exchange views on overchanging and long-term strategic issues. They are also expected to discuss the latest trends around the world that need to be closely followed and debated. Basically, a freewheeling conversation on issues of common interest, which is why this is being called an informal summit.
The leaders of China and India will conduct strategic discussions on major changes in the international landscape that have not been seen in the past 100 years. They will have an in-depth exchange of views on issues of long-term and strategic importance in bilateral relations. This exchange will help deepen mutual trust between the two countries and set a course for development of bilateral ties. It will also open up new prospects in China-India cooperation. This informal summit will not only benefit the two countries and two peoples, but also have an important positive impact on peace and development in the region and beyond.
And coming back to the talking points, even though this is unstructured and the agenda hasn't been defined, we can tell you that the China-US trade war will be discussed. President Trump's urgency to reduce the trade deficit has sparked tension with China. Many see India as a potential mediator. Now, Delhi has always taken a position against protectionist policies, and Beijing hopes to leverage that.
A summit between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and President Xi Jinping is a rare event. But during the critical two-day event, both leaders have an opportunity to set the tone for the future of globalization. The meeting comes at a critical time. China and the United States are locked in a trade war with each other. In order to curb the growing trade deficit with China, President Trump slapped tariffs worth billions of dollars on Chinese goods. Beijing retaliated with its own set of tariffs on American goods. The trade war has opened up an opportunity for India to expand its trade relationship with China. Earlier in April, New Delhi offered to export soybean and sugar to China during the India-China Strategic Economic Dialogue. Beijing, too, looks keen to discuss trade ties.
China and India are both countries with ancient civilizations and are important neighboring countries to each other. They are large countries, each with a population of more than 1 billion. Under the current situation, the world is undergoing profound changes with increasing instability and uncertainty. We are two largest developing countries and important emerging markets. We share many common interests and common concerns. As you can see, we have several joint international proposals. We are two staunch forces that promote multipolarization and economic globalization, and we are also important forces to promote peace, stability, and development of the region and even the world.
China remains India's largest import partner. Goods valued close to $70 billion were sent from China to India in the last fiscal year. While Beijing is keen on building its reputation in the Indian market, India is keen on boosting its exports to China. The meeting between the two leaders is being closely watched by India's oldest business organization. FICCI President Rashesh Shah called on Prime Minister Narendra Modi to raise the issue of access to Chinese markets with President Xi Jinping. The industry body hopes that both countries can come together to fight the rise of protectionism around the world. India's stance on global trade at the SCO Council of Foreign Ministers should set the tone for the Modi-Xi summit. In her address to the gathering, India's External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj said that protectionism in all its forms should be rejected. The minister reiterated India's commitment towards a more open and inclusive economic globalization. Bureau Report, WION.
The buzz is Modi and Xi Jinping will have two sessions where only interpreters will be present. Is that a risk? Diplomats say it could be, but both Modi and Xi are seasoned, hard-headed and can be expected to spell out their ideas in clear terms to take the relationship forward. Here's a report. Diplomats say that it's risky for top leaders of countries on opposite sides of the fence to spend too much time talking to each other. They could overturn the entire edifice of a relationship founded on competition and rivalry to at least partly define the India-China relationship. And since Narendra Modi and Xi Jinping are expected to have two sessions when they will interact without aids, is one to presume that the risk element has gone up many-fold. There is an element of risk in any summit. This being an informal summit with no agreements or declarations on the agenda, it lowers the risk element. At the same time, both leaders need this kind of space and quiet to understand the views, motives and needs of the other. Xi Jinping may be looking for two endorsements from Modi: recognition or acceptance of China's status as a world power, acceptance of the Belt and Road Initiative or BRI, which is Xi's vision. On the other hand, Modi may seek recognition of India as an Indo-Pacific power. Modi may insist that the BRI is a no-no until India's objections are accepted. Having India as an outlier on BRI comes with costs for Xi. The chorus against BRI is growing. Europe is the latest to oppose it on the same grounds as India. The United States is pursuing a trade war with China, so BRI is a dead letter there. It means BRI will have no access to the world's biggest markets. Modi can also tell Xi that he can leverage India's close ties with the United States to help China, if it is prepared to reciprocate. Modi could urge Xi to make good on his 2015 promise to invest $22 billion in India. That's one way of addressing India's trade deficit. But most important, this is an opportunity for Xi and Modi to get to know each other. Both are hard-headed leaders and tough negotiators who will never compromise on national interest. Yet, when it comes to making tough decisions, they have the credibility to take those decisions. Bureau Report, WION.